Hello and welcome back to the RG10 podcast. We are now into Series 16 and we are starting with a bang. A national treasure, a legend of British theatre. Who is this?
It's a Grade 2 listed building, which means...
Have you got it? Let me play it for you one more time.
It's a Grade 2 listed building, which means...
Yes, it's Judi Dench, or should I say Dame Judi Dench. I'm not going to run through her CV because, to be frank, we'd be here all day, but she's currently playing what is arguably the most important role in her career in lending a hand to another treasure, this time one a bit closer to home, the Mill at Sonning. Things haven't been straightforward for theatres across the country in the last few years, and the Mill has also been feeling the pinch. After a long hot summer with rising costs and a struggling box office, they really need help to keep the wheel and the mill turning. To do this, they've set up a crowdfunder page in a bid to raise £125,000. And Dame Judi isn't the only actor lending their support. Here's Sanjeev Bhaskar.
I would love to tread the hallowed boards of the mill. Actually, can I have a job? Have a job! I could have done that in at least two other ways as well.
And even this man is chipping in.
Thank God for Sally. She's miraculous.
Who else could that be than Brian Blessed? But you may be wondering, who is Sally? Well, it's Sally Hughes, MD of the Mill at Sonning. I caught up with her to find out more about the mill, the current situation and plans for the future.
Well, it's a family business, so it goes right back to the late 70s. When my mum and dad found this old derelict mill and decided to convert it into a theatre restaurant, a bit like American dinner theatres. But I was an actress and working with an actor called Peter Egan, and he suggested that dinner theatre, like the Americans put it on, where you sit at your tables and chairs and watch the show from your tables and chairs, would be limiting in the sort of shows that you could put on. So when they found the mill, the idea of finding somewhere to convert came first. They found the old derelict mill, and every space in this old derelict mill just led to the restaurant goes here. The old granary was perfect for the amphitheatre that it is. And then beyond that, buildings for dressing rooms and rehearsal rooms. So sort of everything was perfect. And then it took 4 years to convert it. And then it opened in 1982.
When you say found the mill, what do you mean? How did they find it? What was the situation there?
Well, we were living in London at that point, and they would drive out from London at weekends and look at venues. They were retiring, and they were looking for a quiet project to roll over into their third age. And of course, it wasn't a quiet project. It was a massive project, but a huge legacy that they left for all of us that are here now. So they would drive out, and they just happened to pass the mill, and they saw the for sale sign, and they drove into the car park, and they broke into this old derelict mill. It was all boarded up, and in the bar, if any of your listeners know the bar, you actually couldn't stand up in the bar. So when they converted it, they had to lower the floor. Hence, if it ever floods, which is very rare, and we've only ever lost one performance in 43 years from flooding, the bar gets a bit damp. It's a concrete floor, and it gets, we clean it and it's all fine. Yes. So we've never had to claim on insurance, luckily, for any flooding.
We digressed a little bit there.
We did there, sorry.
I left your parents stumbling across the mill.
Yes.
What happened then?
Well, so they had great vision, and they decided they sold their house in London, and they bought a house in Sonning and bought the mill, and then converted it. Took 4 years. My dad was a civil engineer and had a construction company, and he was rather clever, and he came up with this business plan of once the show opened, that the theatre ticket, the theatre side, was basically subsidised by the food and beverage side, and that's hence why you buy a ticket for the whole thing, because a small 217-seat just theatre ticket, you just could never make it work financially.
And so when did you take over, and why was that, and how did that?
So Peter Egan was our first artistic director.
Yeah.
And he
Regan,
went,
ever decreasing circles. That's how I.
absolutely, yes. He left us in 1984 to do a big television series, and I took over as artistic director. And then when my dad passed away in 2002, I took over as managing director. So I've been involved right from day one.
So, what are the most challenging aspects of running the mill at Sonning, being the MD?
I suppose it's the financial aspect of making sure you got the right income coming in and keeping the costs under control. But that's become increasingly difficult since COVID. The costs have just gone crazy. To build a set, suddenly timber to build a set is 3 times the amount it was pre-COVID. We have our own workshop on site and we build our sets on site. So every show is produced here and cooked here, basically, everything about it. We don't bring any shows in. So all those costs have doubled, tripled in the last few years. Food costs for the restaurant, well, everyone knows about food costs going up. We've recently moved from a buffet service to a table service, and that has cut wastage of food, which is great. Yeah, the costs of the financial worries, and then people management. I mean, we have 100 people on our payroll, not all full-time staff. We have lots of lovely young waiters in the restaurant, and they're on part-time contracts and dressers backstage, and not full-time, but we have a big full-time staff, and you've got actors. So it's dealing with all those personalities, which is challenging sometimes, but wonderful as well.
So I guess those profit margins, they're pretty small, are they?
Yeah, there's no profit. People see the mill and they go, oh, wow, it must be worth millions and you must be raking in the money. But there really isn't. And since COVID, there really isn't. No, there's no profit. It's a passion project.
So when it comes to choosing plays, choosing things to put on, how do you get it right? How can it go wrong?
So you listen to your audience. Every theatre is faced with the same challenge. The demographic of a theatre-going audience is 50 plus in the UK, or maybe in the world, I don't know. But so every theatre, particularly in the regions, West End being very different, you've got to start bringing in that younger audience and encouraging that younger audience. And I'm talking late 20s, 30-something, not young.
And I guess it's that if they're young, they're not going to spend money eating.
Exactly. So you've got to think of plays or activities to bring in an audience, a younger audience, who might then go, oh, this building is fantastic. What they're doing here is great. I'll come and see a show. I'll come and see one of the plays. So you might do some comedy nights. We had children's story time, which was great for the young children, preschool, but it was also all the yummy mummies that would bring them, or the yummy daddies that would bring the children who...
Well rescued there.
Yes, and maybe they haven't got a babysitter yet, but often you would hear a conversation, someone saying, oh yes, I must come here, and they'll take a brochure. And so that's your audience that you're trying to attract. And we do concerts on Sunday nights, a lot of tribute bands. Again, there are lots of different age groups for those tribute bands. But that is a huge challenge for theatre. There's so much now for people to do, apart from go to live theatre.
Is there anything in particular that works better than other things? If we put that on, we know we're going to be absolutely fine.
Yes. If you do an Agatha Christie, you're going to sell out. Yeah. So we're doing one next year. Musicals at Christmas do really, really well. And we're doing My Fair Lady this year. And you're going to do 90% plus business, because if you choose the right musical at Christmas, it's Christmas. It's all the family come out. So you've got to find something that every age group will want to see. And yeah, we do really well at Christmas. And
on the flip side of that, is there anything you think experience has told me we must not do that again? Something that that's not going to work?
Titles are important.
Really?
Some years ago, probably 10 years ago, I got the rights to a play called Love, Loss, and What I Wore. And it was a huge hit on Broadway. And it's 5 actresses. And they're sort of monologues and duologues and scenes about love and loss, but relating to an item of clothing. It could be boots, a dress. Huge hit. Nora Ephron and Delia Ephron. Nora Ephron, who wrote When Harry Met Sally,
Yeah.
Sleepless in Seattle, all those amazing films, wrote script. It was the UK premiere. Nora sadly had gone, but Delia gave us the rights to do it. We had Rula Lenska, and it did 30% business. That was because of the title. Because people would look at it. So you've got a program going out, maybe 5 shows in it. And people go, oh yeah, Mirror Cracked, Agatha Christie, My Fair Lady, Love, Loss and What I Wore. What's that about? What is that about? It doesn't tell the story in the title. So that was a big mistake. And I thought it was going to be a massive hit. And it was also very much geared to women. So women would come, but they wouldn't bring their partners.
If you had like a dream production to put on, what would it be?
A dream production would be Hamlet with Brad Pitt.
You've got to aim high, haven't you? Suppose his pal lives just around the corner, George Clooney, doesn't he?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
And you currently have a crowdfunder, don't you? Tell me what is that all about?
That crowdfunder was really, we had a sticky summer, late summer. So it was to bring in some funds to cover us there. And also our water wheel in the bar stopped working because it's clunking. It's run by the river, but it's clunking and the paddles need mending. So we're not turning it at the moment. And that's the icon of the mill. If people come into the bar and they see this beautiful wheel turning, that's going to cost a bit of money to do. A lot of maintenance in the building, huge maintenance this building takes. So I emailed Dame Judi Dench, who's a great supporter, and I said, would you spearhead our campaign? And she said, yes. She comes back. You sent her an email asking for help. She comes back in 20 minutes and just is amazing. So she's spearheaded that, had a lot of press. And then out of that crowdfunder, I was approached by some lovely people in the village who are investing some money in the mill, which is amazing. So even though we haven't reached our target yet on the crowdfunder, we've certainly got the help that we need. And listen, there's some great rewards. I mean, there are all sorts of fabulous rewards. If you're a playwright, you can pay, you can donate and you can get your play read by professional actors. And Tony McHale, who made the little video that goes with the crowdfunder, he wrote for EastEnders. He co-thought of Holby City and writes. He's an amazing writer, television man. And he wrote the script for the crowdfunder and filmed it. So he's going to head these script writing readings and classes. So that's quite something. And then we've got some acting workshops, which 2 actors are doing for us. So you can bid for all of these different things. And you can even have a little walk-on part in our comedy after Christmas. And 2 tickets for that performance for your loved ones to see you on stage. Yeah.
Looking ahead now, you've been going since 1982. So off the top of my head, that's 43 going on 44 years. Let's go forward 10, 20 years time. What do you imagine the mill at Sonning will be like? What are your hopes?
So the hopes that we'll still be here, which we will, that different elements of the building, the actual fabric of the building are upgraded because there's still lots to do. And this last summer, we did our first national tour of a play called Death Comes to Pemberley. And we had, it was P.D. James had written the sequel to Pride and Prejudice, a thriller. We had James By in it, who was from EastEnders, played Martin Fowler. He was killed off and came straight to Sonning. And he played Mr. Darcy. It was very good. And then it went on an 8-week tour from here. It went to Bath, it went to Windsor, it went to Richmond. Lovely 8-week tour and very successful. So the plan is to do a tour every year.
Yeah, how does that help? With you just getting the name of the mill out?
Gets the name out, and if it does well, you get a royalty from it. Financially, it's hopefully good for the mill. So yeah, And also, I think if a play's going out on tour, I know, you attract names, which then, if they're playing at the Mill, it is great for the audience coming to the Mill as well. It's all about bums on seats, basically.
Absolutely. So immediately then, over the next few months, what have you got coming up at the Mill?
So we've got a wonderful ghost story on at the moment called The Shadow in the Mirror, which is an adaptation of a Gerald Durrell short story. And ghost stories are good for that younger generation as well. They're very popular at the moment. It's quite scary. And then we've got My Fair Lady for Christmas. And then in the new year, we've got a Ray Cooney farce. So it's actually his son has written it, Michael Cooney, called Cash on Delivery. And that's going to be very funny. And then we got the rights to Jack and Sarah. Do you remember the film Jack and Sarah with Richard E. Grant?
I do. Is that when Richard E. Grant has been widowed?
That's right. And he has to bring up his baby on his own. And it's a lovely romantic comedy. It's just gorgeous. We got the script delivered. We got the rights. It's been adapted for us by Duncan Abel. And I read the script over the weekend and I had a big box of tissues next to me. It's funny. It's sad. It's romantic. It's just wonderful.
And finally, then, you mentioned earlier on that you're going to do another Agatha Christie. Just for those Agatha Christie fans, can you give us a rough idea when that's going to be and what it will be?
That's going to be next autumn. So that will be this play next year. We've got a couple of other plays in between. And yeah, it's The Mirror Cracked. But before that, we've got a really interesting play. Can I tell you about that if you've got time?
Go for it.
It's called Sheer Madness, and it's set in a hairdresser's shop. And there are people having their hair washed and cut on stage.
Huh.
And it's a murder mystery, but fun, a fun one. And somebody upstairs gets killed. And then in the second act, the detective who comes asks the audience who they think is the killer. So there's a little bit of audience participation, if they want to. But it's great fun, and it's been playing all over the world for many years, and we're doing it for the first time in the UK.
That was Sally Hughes, MD at the Mill at Sonning. And check out the show notes for a link to the crowdfunder. Thanks so much for listening to the RG10 podcast. We've got a cracking series of episodes coming down the pipe over the next few weeks, so do remember to subscribe or follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts.